What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we're in the shop tonight, and we're working on the second Anbull cordless transfer pump that I got. You guys hadn't seen the first video. I got some good information on the first one. I'll show you over here real quick to sum it up for you. But I've got the first one here, using it to transfer oil out of a 5-gallon bucket. When I did the first video, I did not have this piece of pipe on here, so that's an upgrade I made. I said in the first video that I was going to make. I just had a piece of hose like this stuck in the bucket for testing. This is 3/4 inch pipe. I stuck that washer on there, and I've got it cut the right length so that this will kind of sit there and keep any dust or dirt from falling into the bucket, because the pipe is just a little bit smaller than the spout because it needs to be so it can suck air around it. So anyway, that's the setup I got there. So far, I've only used that once to pump about 10 gallons, but it seems to be working so far. And right now we're working on setting the second one up to pump fuel. So this is the other pump here that I had ordered, and I've got it set up. I've already pumped some fuel with it, but this is actually the hose, the test hose I used on the other one over there initially for testing purposes. This is just a piece of 5/8 PVC wire reinforced hose with a garden hose adapter on it with a cap here just to keep the dirt out. That's what I'm using for my suction side. On the supply side here, I've got just a longer piece of the same type hose, but I'm fixing to install a filter on this and a fuel nozzle on the end here, so you can actually have a nozzle on it. I just got this threaded in here kind of hand tight because I needed to pump some fuel the other day, and I had a filter base on order I had not received yet. But I'm going to put, I think, this 90 here on this side, and that way when I curl it up, I think it'll make it make my hoses kind of curl around the pump a little better, having that 90 on it like I did that right there, because there's going to be a filter base hanging out here that's going to make this even wider than it already is. So get you guys set up over here. We'll get our filter base out, we'll get this hose out of here and get this plumbed up, and then we're going to test this out, pump some fuel, and see how well it works pumping fuel. Alright guys, so we got our new filter base here. I ordered a cast iron filter base because that's what I like, but they sent me an aluminum one because they were out of the cast iron ones. I don't really like these aluminum ones, but I guess it'll work, especially for the application. Being inside this is a cordless pump, maybe the lightweight, being lightweight will help out, but anyways, it's not really what I ordered, but it's going to work. I think it'll work just fine until I drop it and break it. But that's the way things are. It does have an inlet and outlet. I'm going to put that on there, like that right there, and we'll be able to screw a filter on here. That way, if we transfer any fuel and there's any trash, this will filter it out. This is a 2-micron water block filter, so if there's any water in there, it will swell up this media in here and block the transfer from going through the filter, and that way you don't fill up something with water. Alright guys, so this is the pump I'll put together with the hoses and filter and everything that I got on here, like I'm going to use it. I may wind up mounting this to a board or something and setting it in, say, like a Rubbermaid tote or some kind of case. May would be handy. But I went with this 5/8 hose. Like I say, that hose is pretty nimble and lightweight, and you know, will curl up nice instead of a big normal hose. I don't know how well it's going to hold up longevity wise, but we'll see. And we're going to set this thing up over here and test it out and pump some fuel out of some 5-gallon buckets into my heater and stuff over here, and see how well this is going to work for practical uses. Alright guys, so we're going to fill this heater up here. Now this heater is one of these things that's, the fuel tank's low to the ground. It's pretty easy to pour fuel in here out of a bucket. It's not that big a deal. But I want to test this pump out. I've already tested it out outside, getting some fuel for these buckets. I used it to pump the fuel from my transfer tank into these buckets, bring it in here just to test the pump out. So I've already pumped 15 gallons through it on this battery. So far it seems to be working good. I timed it with the stopwatch on my phone there, and showing about 45 seconds or so to empty a bucket. I did not film that because it is dark outside. All right, so that seems to be on the bottom of the bucket there about. It's pretty close. So we're going to suck this bucket dry here and put some fuel in the old heater. You can see the stream there. It's hard to tell the exact gallons per minute on this because, you know, obviously diesel, it foams up, but these buckets are usually about 5.5 gallons. So I'm guessing by the time the foam gets to the top, you're probably down about 5 gallons. So I would say 5 gallons in 40, 45 seconds. It would be what, 6 to 7 gallons? I guess that's about it already. Yeah, that's about it already. I'm going to lean the bucket over this way a little bit. Alright guys, so I have used this thing a little bit more. I pumped about 30 gallons of fuel with it so far. It's worked great. I figured out, did some calculations. It'll pump about 5 gallons in about 40 seconds roughly. So if you do the calculation, it's about 7.5 gallons a minute through a 2 micron filter. The pump is rated at 12 gallons a minute. When they rate these pumps, that is with no hose or no filter, no nothing. And that is pretty comparable to what I've seen out of, you know, say a 13 gallon per minute or 15 gallon per minute even Feel Right pump. Usually they're 8, you know, maybe 9 sometimes, but or usually around 8, the ones I've tested, gallons per minute with a hose and a filter and everything on them. So, I mean, that's pretty good flow. You've seen what it looked like coming out of the nozzle there. It'll empty a 5 gallon bucket, like I say, 40 seconds. And I don't know how long it'll run on a battery, or I mean, how many gallons you can pump in a battery, but I have an estimation because I've pumped 10 gallons of oil with the other one, and then I started pumping some fuel with it, and I calculated the runtime on that battery to be roughly around 11 minutes or so, and that was pumping a thicker weight oil. But if you can transfer 7.5 gallons of fuel per minute, you get to 11 minutes, that would still give you 80 something gallons of fuel, but I think that you'd actually get a little bit more on per battery pumping fuel, because the oil is thick and it's not made to pump oil, so the motor is under more load, is drawing more amperage. But anyway, so I'm guessing you can probably pump roughly 100 gallons plus or minus. I'm not sure, have not tested it that way. They say in the instructions you can run it up to 20 minutes before you need to let the pump cool down and whatnot. So I don't know if that battery will actually power the pump for 20 minutes, but either way, it should get you you know, enough fuel if you're fueling up equipment or transfer from fuel from something to one thing to another. Should suit the bill. I had one little issue that I will warn you about, is whenever I put this thing together, I used some Teflon tape on some of these fittings, and I had a leak here, and I was worried about it. You always got to be cautious on this. On pipe thread, you can break stuff, but I went to tighten it a little bit more to try to get it to seal, and I put a hairline crack in this pump housing right here, and what I wound up doing was I took and cut a little notch in it. I don't know if you can see that right there, and put a little weld right there, and then I put some red Loctite on it and screwed it in there and let the Loctite set up. And then on this outer part here, I wound up taking this back out, putting some blue Loctite on it and putting it back in there, and I have not had any more leaks or anything. So that would be my recommendation if you decide to build one of these and put a filter housing on it. And instead of trying to screw this thing in tight enough to get it to not leak, maybe if you got you know, maybe a nick thread or something, maybe a better option is to put some Loctite on it and let it set up, and that'll give you a permanent, you know, solution. This is not going to loosen up under vibration and moving it around, knocking it around, bumping it. Because if you don't get it tight enough, you know, with this weight, when you set it down and bump it or whatnot, it's going to come loose and it'll start leaking and whatever. So that would be kind of my recommendation on that, is maybe use some Loctite instead of just regular Teflon. You may have a better result. But anyway, other than that, no issues. It seems to be working great, and I'm satisfied with it. I'm satisfied with the other one so far. As I say, I bought 2 of them, and there's another video on that one. I will also have probably another video coming out in the future on, you know, how these are holding up as I use them and whatnot. I'll be using this, or using both of them to do oil changes with that one, and then this one to transfer fuel whenever I need to different equipment, whatever. That it's nice to have a cordless transfer pump, even though I do have one on my transfer tank in my truck. I think this will be a great addition to the tool selection. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up, and I'll try to remember to put some links in this. I know I put links in the first video. You can go check that out, and maybe something in there that I didn't put in this one. But thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next video.